Welcome, 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 welcome back, my beautiful friends. I'm gonna wait a couple of minutes till some of you will see notification and gather. Some of you may watch later. I have no idea if or how many people have seen the update that Jordan Peterson daughter had put out a couple days ago. I'm not sure how many people are aware of it. I am very, very saddened by that news. I've learned that Jordan Peterson is in kind of a critical condition. I really pray that he can recover. Thank you, Fuchsia. He is, I don't know, I look at him as a father. He is a father for so many young men and women too. I really truly hope that he will recover, but it's something so serious. It was so unexpected to I was so it was so unexpected for me. I don't know if people knew about this, but let me play the message of his daughter just to let you know his daughter is obviously in a lot of pain, so she sounds a bit robotic, but she's just trying to be able to convey the message. This is how some of us, this is how some of us are able to talk in a tough situations. Is that we numb ourselves so we can speak and not break down to tears. So here she is.
Hey guys, I have an update on my dad. I'm actually just going to read this. It's on my teleprompter because this is too hard to explain off the cuff, so I wrote it out. This summer's been exceedingly difficult. Dad was in an ICU suffering from pneumonia and sepsis after dealing with a host of neurological issues this summer that we believe stem from SIRS, which is chronic inflammatory response syndrome due to decades of mold exposure. We don't have a better explanation for his neurological symptoms at the moment other than spiritual attacks. He's been suffering for the last number of years with unexplainable neuropathy and weakness, amongst other symptoms, but they worsened this summer after he cleaned out his parents' basement after his dad, my grandpa, passed away. We weren't able to communicate with Dad really all of September. During the end of the pneumonia, he was diagnosed with critical illness polyneuropathy, which we're hoping is critical illness myopathy, which is bad enough. That's been heartbreaking and brutal on top of everything else. But after almost a month in the ICU, he's been moved out to a less urgent floor. Praise God for that. We're still in the midst of this, but now we're seeing improvements daily. The timeline for his full recovery is hard to tell at the moment, and I'll update everyone when we have more information. My family's asking for prayers. Like I said, this summer's been exceedingly difficult and terrifying. Dad's condition is complicated by the fact he can't take most medications without suffering from severe paradoxical reactions, which limits treatment options. Like I mentioned, I believe there's a spiritual element at play here. I think a lot of people have felt it in the last few weeks and months. It's been hitting my dad and my family hard this summer. In August, the day Dad was brought to a hospital by ambulance, my newborn Audrey was also brought to a hospital by ambulance within hours of each other. It was unbelievable. This was the second time this summer we had brought Audrey to the hospital after she almost died from near heart failure at 6 weeks old. That is exceedingly rare, and they couldn't find a cause for. She was diagnosed with idiopathic pulmonary.
For those who are just joining, welcome. I'm getting you an update. You may or may have not heard about Jordan Peterson. We respect him, we love him, we appreciate him. So we're gonna to send prayers in our mind as just a couple more minutes left of his daughter update. And I actually want to play one of his messages here on a chat to honor him, to send him respect, to send him love, to send him prayers. I really pray that he recovers and comes back. I know he suffered mentally from depression very much, but the thing is, most brilliant people, not most, but many, tend to suffer from depression because they really see things for what they are, if you know what I mean. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for the kind word. Hello, Frankie. Hello, John. Elizabeth, darling. Hello. my mod and my member and my supporter from Scotland, my lovely Elizabeth. Welcome. I don't know if you need. I hope you're getting rest you need. Um, so welcome everybody. Ramon. Only. I'm sorry, I can't read that, but thank you. Yes, my chandelier is beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Joseph. I appreciate you. So let's listen.
Hypertension, which seems to have resolved, praise God. But it's not something that happens. This was late July after Dad and I recorded some episodes of the call-in show together. Everything went just really downhill fast after that. Every single day this summer and now fall has been like watching a movie. Our family's relying heavily on the Lord through this and seeing miracles around us. We are. And I'm also aware that God uses everything for good. So eventually we'll see why this is happening or what comes of it. But Mom and I in particular really wanted to reach out and ask for prayers to help everyone get through this, especially for my dad and for my mom, but also for the nurses and doctors taking care of him, my brother, and family and friends who have come to support us.
Yes, so my dear friends, this was an update from I think your name is Michaela. Michaela, Jordan Peterson's daughter. I can't even imagine how hard it was to record this. It feels like she's, of course, is very, very nervous. She's very shaken by that. Did you guys hear about this mold? So basically, he developed this condition because of many years exposure to mold. So my dear friends, whether it's your house, whether it's your parent house, whether it's wherever you are, mold is a big thing here, especially if you have a home. Please be very careful because it sounds it's so terrible when something awful like this can take life away of your loved one or compromise your health. So we're going to listen. Actually, I'm gonna play a little bit of maybe not a little bit. I want to send love and prayers and support and all the positive things and the beautiful light of love to Jordan Peterson. He's fighting for life right now. He I really appreciate his dedication, his passion. He never had to do this. He never had to become a mentor for so many and go everything he had to go through, standing for the truth, especially in Canada. But well, let's listen to his message. Maybe you're doing something, or maybe you want to make a comment. If you make an interesting comment in the chat, I will stop the recording and I will listen to your comments. Okay. And if I really want to comment, I will consider doing
So you've done your research and
as well. I'm sorry. So I have okay, this is too fast. That lady is very listen how this lady speaks. She's way too aggressive. A lady should never speak like that, especially in an interview. I get it. Sometimes you need to fight for yourself. Sometimes you need to stand for yourself, but don't ever speak that fast. Um, if you just join in, if you would appreciate, I would appreciate if you double tap on the screen, which means a like. If you just double tap screen, we have 37 people and 7 likes. I'm gonna wait for a couple of double taps. Let's do couple double taps. Some people wrote me that they don't know how to put a like on the stream, and sometimes you don't see the thumbs up, so you just double tap, kind of like on Instagram when you put a like. So, all right, thank you. So let's listen to Jordan Peterson debate on gender pay gap and some other things. Привет, Maxim. Welcome. Здравствуй, Ryan. Hello. Welcome,
You've
everyone.
said that men need to, quote, grow the hell up. Tell me why.
Well, because there's nothing uglier than an old infant. There's nothing good about it. People who don't grow up don't find the sort of meaning in their life that sustains them through difficult times, and they are certain to encounter difficult times. And they're left bitter and resentful and without purpose and adrift and hostile and resentful and vengeful and arrogant and deceitful and of no use to themselves and of no use to anyone else and no partner for a woman, and there's nothing in it that's good.
So you say, I mean, that sounds pretty bad. You're saying
It's
there's a
bad.
crisis of masculinity. I mean, what do you do about it?
You you help people understand why it's necessary and important for them to grow up and adopt responsibility. Why that isn't a shake your finger and get your act together sort of thing. Why it's more like a delineation of the kind of destiny that makes life worth living. I've been telling young men, but it's not. I wasn't specifically aiming this message at young men to begin with. It just kind of turned out that way.
And it's mostly, you admit, it's mostly men listening. I mean,
it is.
90% of your audiences are men.
Well, it's
right?
about 80% on YouTube, which is YouTube is a male domain primarily, so it's hard to tell how much of it is because YouTube is male and how much of it is because of what I'm saying. But what I've been telling young men is that there's an actual reason why they need to grow up, which is that they have something to offer. You know, that people have within them this capacity to set the world straight, and that's necessary to manifest in the world, and that also doing so is where you find the meaning that sustains you in life.
So what's gone wrong then?
Oh God, all sorts of things have gone wrong. I don't think that young men hear words of encouragement. Some of them never in their entire lives, as far as I can tell. That's what they tell me. And the fact that the words that I've been speaking, the YouTube lectures that I've done and put online, for example, have had such a dramatic impact is an indication that young men are starving for this sort of message, because like, why in the world would they have to derive it from a lecture on YouTube? Now, they're not being taught that it's important to develop yourself.
But does it bother you that...
Hello everyone, welcome. Who just joined in? We are listening to audio recording. Well, for you it's audio. We're listening to Jordan Peterson. Please pray for him. It sounds like he is in a compromised condition currently. I just want to talk about him. I want us to send prayers and yes, just I want to listen to his message. I cannot stress it enough for his brilliance, his dedication. He was just saying how young men truly rob themselves out of their potential, destinies, their life, their brilliance, their capacity when they don't step into their power. There is nothing worse than an old infant. Dear men who come here and write embarrassing messages, just know that there is nothing worse than an old toddler or an old infant. And unfortunately, even on my channel, when I do these lives, I see so many men like that. And I feel very sorry for you. I really do. But we are doing this for everyone who appreciates it. So if you're trying to catch my attention in a negative way, just know that I will put you in timeout or I will just ignore you. Aaron, welcome. We are honoring Jordan Peterson's message, just sending him prayers. His daughter came out and said that he's really fighting for life right now. I don't have I think I have Elizabeth, but maybe she's busy. If you are writing nonsense, I mean, you just helping my channel, just know that, but nobody gonna give you time of the day. Corey Green, welcome to the chat. I'm Ukrainian, but yes, I would say Slavic women are magnificent as they realize the purpose of home with a woman and a man leading the way together. Yes, we believe that that's the most natural, the most magnificent, the most God-given purpose, and we don't see it any other way. We are very much disheartened by the wokeness, how it spreads around the world, how it takes lives, how it discourages people, how it confuses people. And I honestly don't understand people on the left right now who say they believe in God. I don't understand how you can support the LGBTQ with passion. How can you support the destruction of relationship, destruction, super low rates of births, the gender war between men and women? the girls giving up on femininity, coloring their hair green, men becoming lazy infants playing video games. I don't understand how you can support the interruption of pregnancy. I don't understand this. I have so much respect for men like Jordan Peterson, that goes beyond politics, way beyond that, because that is the things that Jordan Peterson talks about. He talks about this with so much passion and so much dedication because he knows exactly what it is when young men um, try to have it very easy and never develop. He knows what kind of cost they will pay in the end. And he understands the pay of a regret. Exactly. Thank you, Bob. I'm about to go back to the recording, but I want to say some thank yous. Thank you, Corey. I appreciate you. Thank you, Big Tiger from Buddha. You think I'm from Budapest? No, but it's a beautiful city. I enjoy your channel. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Bob and Jay. You're so kind. Thank you. Thank you, Buzzy. Thank you, Corey Green. Mr. Peterson knows this world. Yes. Jordan isn't dying. I didn't say that he was dying. I said, let's pray for him. He's fighting for life. Those conditions are very serious. Sepsis, pneumonia. It sounds like he has a very allergic reaction to the mold that it took on his health. And now, like, it scares me so much. I want to make sure now. Make sure that we don't have anything because mold is so dangerous. It's like a silent killer, and I think the spores kind of go inside of you, like inside of your lungs or something awful like this. But anyway, let's send some love to Jordan Peterson. His daughter looked very distraught. I truly hope that he fully recovers and he comes back. So many people love him. He raised so many children. I saw he has his daughter under her videos. There is 35,000 comments. You know, if you are in a life-threatening condition and somebody announces the possibility of some upcoming difficult circumstance or lethal circumstance or very harsh circumstance for your health, and you get 35,000 comments, it means you did something right as a man. Okay, I just want to send him my respect. All right, let's listen.
That your audience is predominantly male. Isn't that a bit divisive?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's no more divisive than the fact that YouTube is primarily male and Tumblr is primarily female.
Isn't it?
Tumblr is primarily female.
Gosh,
You're just saying.
what an unintelligent co-host or whatever your name is. Isn't it pretty divisive? What do you mean? YouTube is like a magnet. His work is like a magnet. It naturally draws men because they see a role model in him. How is that is divisive? What are you talking about? If I make a female channel, I talk about fashion and lipstick, mostly women will tune in. Is it divisive? No. It's just simply women want to learn about femininity or beauty hacks. Lady, you are one of the issues. You are one of the problems. You're part of the problem, shall I say.
That's the way it is.
Well, I'm not saying anything. It's just an observation that that's the way it is. There's plenty of women that are watching my lectures and coming to my talks and buying my books. It's just that the majority of them happen to be men.
What's in it for the women, though?
Well, what sort of partner do you want? Do you want an overgrown child? Or do you want someone to contend with that's going to help you and that
So
you
you're
can
saying
rely on?
women have some sort of duty to sort of help fix the crisis of masculinity?
It depends on what they want. No, I mean, it's exactly how I laid it out. Like, women deeply want men who are competent and powerful. And I don't mean power in that they can exert tyrannical control over others. That's not power. That's just corruption. Power is competence. And why in the world would you not want a competent partner? Well, I know why, actually. You can't dominate a competent partner. So if you want domination...
Want to dominate, is that what you're saying?
No, I'd say women who have had their relationships impaired their relationships with men impaired and who are afraid of such relationships will settle for a weak partner because they can dominate them. But it's a suboptimal solution.
Do you think that's what a lot of women are doing?
I think there's a substantial minority of women who do that. And I think it's very bad for them. They're very unhappy. It's very bad for their partners, although their partners get the advantage of not having to take any responsibility.
But what gives you the right to say that? I mean, maybe that's how women want their relationships, those women. I mean, you're making these vast generalizations.
I'm a clinical psychologist.
Right, so you're saying you've done your research and women are unhappy dominating men.
I didn't say they were unhappy dominating men. I said it was a bad long-term solution.
Okay, you said it was making them miserable.
Thing. Yes, it is. And it depends on the time frame. I mean, there's intense pleasure in momentary domination. That's why people do it all the time. But it's no formula for a successful long-term relationship. That's reciprocal, right? Any long-term relationship is reciprocal, virtually by definition. So
let me put a quote to you from the book, where you say there are whole disciplines in universities forthrightly hostile towards men. These are the areas of study dominated by the postmodern neo-Marxist claim that Western culture in particular is an oppressive structure created by white men to dominate and exclude women. But then I want to put
minorities too dominate.
Okay, sure. But I want to put to you that here in the UK, for example, let's take that as an example, the gender pay gap stands at just over 9.
His sense of humor is undeniable. Undeniable. Oh my goodness. Yeah, he was like, yeah, you forgot to say minority, put on this victim list. I want to say again, don't ever let anybody cripple you and tell you you're a minority, you're not the right color, you're not the right race, you were born in the wrong country. These are the people that really believe that you are below them, and they show empathy where you don't need any empathy. You're perfectly capable. And this woman is really something else. she is really, I have no words. Yeah, she's questioning his main profession and she doesn't make any sense. The moment she said that, well, it's divisive that 80% of men listening to you, which is absolutely shows that she has a very questionable grip on reality. You draw the listeners by interest. It's actually excellent that men are listening to Jordan Peterson and want to become better. Men who are listening to Jordan Peterson, they want to become better. He's a male role model. Naturally, he will draw young men, maybe middle-aged men, maybe, I don't know, all ages of men. That is a beautiful thing. It's not about division. Why do they want us to be a middle gender? Why do they want us not to be quite women, not to be quite feminine, not to be beautiful, not to strive in our femininity? And they don't want men to be masculine and strong and driven. Why do we have to be in the middle? Why do we have to be the middle gender that is confused, doesn't know, not quite a woman, not quite a man? So we kind of friends. There is no polarity, there is no tension, there is no desire, there is no desire to improve, to goals, to create family, to procreate, to enjoy the tension between a man and woman, the passionate part, the intimate part, the intellectual part. Why they always try to blur the lines and tell us that we should be even interested in the same thing? Men and women in general, we can have some interests that are that are, I forgot this word, that matching. We can have some interest that matching, but in general, a lot of our interests do not match because we are polar. We have polar genders. We are passionate about a lot of different things, and that is beautiful because God made us this way. God made us this way. I don't want to see men, wearing frills and lipstick, but I might have 15 books there in a corner on beauty and old Hollywood makeup routine. I will talk about this with my best friend. But most men, again, if I will make this video, most men will be like, okay, I guess it's a female channel. So this is not about divisiveness. It's that nature made us uniquely beautiful. and we have our interest. We complement each other. We can share certain interests, certain parts of them, and there is no it's has nothing to do with division.
Percent. You've got women at the BBC recently saying that the broadcaster is illegally paying them less than men to do the same job. You've got only 7 women running the top FTSE 100 companies.
Yeah.
So it seems to a lot of women that they're still being dominated and excluded, to quote your words back to you.
It does seem that way, but multivariate analysis of the pay gap indicate that it doesn't exist.
But that's
So
just
you
not
do,
true,
you-
is it?
That's
I mean, that
absolutely
9% pay gap, that's a gap between median hourly earnings
Yeah.
between men and women.
But there's
That
multiple,
exists.
yeah, but there's multiple reasons for that. One of them is gender, but it's not the only reason. Like if you're a social scientist worth your salt, you never do a univariate analysis. Like you say, well, women in aggregate are paid less than men. Okay, well then we break it down by age, we break it down by occupation, we break it down by interest, we break it down by personality.
But you're saying basically it doesn't matter if women aren't getting to the top because that's what's skewing that gender pay gap, isn't it? You're saying, well, that's just a fact of
Not
life.
saying
Women
it
aren't
doesn't
necessarily
matter.
going to get to the top.
No, I'm not saying it doesn't matter either.
You're saying
I'm
it's a
saying
fact
there are
of life.
multiple reasons for it.
Yeah, but
and they
those
aren't being
reasons,
taken into
why
account.
should women put up with those reasons? Why should
Why should
women be
put up with it?
content
I'm not
not
saying
to...
Lady, career is not the most important thing in a woman's life.
that
get
they
to the
should
top?
put up with it. I'm saying that the claim that the wage gap between men and women is only due to sex is wrong, and it is wrong. There's no doubt about that. The multivariate analysis have been done. So I can give you an
keep
example.
on talking
Wait,
about
wait a sec.
multivariate analysis.
Let me give you an
but
example.
I'm saying that 9% pay gap exists.
Yeah.
That's a gap between men and women. I'm not saying why it exists, but it exists. Now,
but
if
you
you're
have
a
to say
woman,
why
that
it
seems
exists.
pretty unfair.
You have to say,
I have to say, of course, there are sexist places. Of course, there are certain types of harassment sometimes when you're working in companies. When I was in Ukraine, I'm originally from Kiev, Ukraine. I experienced a lot of actual sex harassment. I don't want to say this word all the time. I experienced it as most beautiful young ladies did. We were living in a society where laws were not working, but it wasn't something like, oh, you wear a cute dress. It was something when we were sometimes forced and had to leave our job because there was no control. Yes, I am not here to say that there are not men in the structures that can use their position in order to gain certain things from women at work or any other place. But in a society with every law, with in very serious companies and corporations, it's now on a very rare side. And what she says about 9%, she literally take this thing out of her, not gonna say from where, I'm a lady. So what I'm going to say is it's never a fair comparison. They often compare women who don't have either same level of education, or there are multiple reasons why somebody doesn't pay the they call it not even gap. Usually men have more time to focus on their career. They don't spend as much time with children. So women are behind in some ways. We need to listen and case by case. And yes, I would say that in many ways women actually get more. Women rule the world in many ways. Yes, I don't know what job you have, but I know as a woman, if I work somewhere, I would get tips. Not for many reasons. Men are more likely to leave gratitude for a pleasant woman, for a smart woman, for a woman that is that is amazing at her job. You kind of feel that you kind of feel as a gentleman that you want to be grateful. I can tell you, when I was working in a corporate world back in time, back when I was in Kiev, Ukraine, I was working in a very big company that was it was like an operator company. I was making twice or maybe 3 times as much as my male co-workers because clients would always not offer, but would always choose me to be the interpreter, to be the translator, and they would always leave me amazing tips. Amazing tips where actually would be more than my salary. Yes, I spent a lot of energy, I put a lot of heart into it, and they could feel it. And because there was a flexibility, you can add a tip, you can add more hours. I would get paid significantly more. Of course, this is an example, right? So I think we need to look at case by case, because in some cases, yes, men, certain people just uh, would use their position. Unfortunately, people often can use their position when they gain position in life. They can use it unfairly, but women have also an unfair privilege just simply to be feminine and beautiful. You are more likely to get clients, you're more likely to get tips, you're more likely to get noticed. And it's not it's just life. If something is going on and there are something going on the road, and there is a lady and a man who, let's say, in some kind of accident, who do you think the first responder is gonna run to first? To a woman. Is it fair? No, because both men and women are equally valuable, right? But men will instinctively going to run toward the woman. Is it hard for a woman in a man's world sometimes? Yes. But I believe we are living in a time where you're a true professional. When you truly, if you truly want to do something, you can get paid, you can make your own price. I've never felt that I'm getting paid less than somebody else. Well, it's also because after some time I realized that I really don't want to give my energy, my livelihood, my femininity and my presence to promote somebody else's company. That's why most women should focus on their health, on their family, and maybe creating their own. You remain beautiful, you remain healthy, you remain young when as a woman you are well watered, nurtured, and you put yourself and your family as priority. Generally, women burn themselves in a career trying to prove something to a man. This is what she is now going to talk about, that women burn themselves to the ground by trying to prove something to a man rather than using the time in a better way. Because if you're really passionate about something, you can always get a career. You cannot always have a child. You cannot always create a home. You don't always get an opportunity to create things that truly fulfill you as a woman. Anyway, let me read some of your comments. We'll continue. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for the compliments. I see your comments and I try to give you a heart, but I had this device in my hand. All right, Gabriel, I feel sorry for you. Qualifications and quality, yes. Do you have the same level of education? Do you have the same level of experience? And it should be totally okay that many women do not have same level of education or same years of experience. If they were raised in family, I would be glad for women if they lose those 9%. I don't know who count that, if you were busy raising your children, because that's something that you can never get back. That's the most beautiful thing. And Jordan Peterson encouraging men to worry about their drive, purpose, and career. For women, it's secondary, because as women, we are happy first when we have a happy home, when we have someone to love, when we don't miss our time to have a child, to become a mother. My wife stayed home and raised our children and has been a housewife for 40 years. Good for you, William. You are one of the men we are talking about here on my channel. thrilled for you and your wife. Thank you for being able to provide a beautiful family environment, because your children are our future as well. When you have a wife that has a luxury of not worrying about 9%, 10%, 11%, when you have a wife that can stay home and enjoy her children, we are raising an amazing society. It doesn't mean that a woman should not have ambition. Doesn't mean that a woman could not have anything she wants to create. But when she has that protection from a man, it's a beautiful society ahead. When we leave our children to the iPads, to the devices, to some weird people who work in these no, not nursing homes, there's daycares. Those are usually people that don't really want to be there. They are only there to get by. When we leave our children, God knows where, everybody is losing. Hovis, you're right. If a man can see the challenges faced by women, they aren't faced by men. They are clueless. I can't lie. Yes, we have our own things. We have our own challenges. That's why a woman should always be protected. And I am first to say that, a lot of ladies I know from my side of the world, we've been through a lot. But even that did not change our opinion. I don't get it. How do women not rule the world? Women do rule the world. Women can rule the world and not have to put all this pressure and all this tightness and all this turmoil and all this cortisol. We can rule the world like this. By creating atmosphere, by making the strongest and most powerful men working for us and bring us the fruits of their labor, while we are procreating another version of them. Thank you for the comments.
Why it exists.
But do you agree that it's unfair? If you're a woman,
Not necessarily.
and on average you're getting paid
It's
9% less
unfair.
than a man, that's not fair, is it?
Do you agree that it's unfair? Do you agree that this is unfair? Sorry. It's my best attempt at English accent. Alex, that's why that's what I found ironic, that some women go to college, get a degree in early childhood education, and outsource their, I know, outsource their own children's care to someone else while they care for someone else's children. I know. That's just blew my mind when I just came here in US however many years ago. I've seen that. And I was like, so you are working in a daycare here, and meanwhile, or in your elementary here, and meanwhile somebody else is raising your son or your baby. It doesn't make any sense. And they even have a condition that if you work in a daycare, you cannot have your own child there. Your child needs to be elsewhere. You would think that in Eastern Europe, sometimes women would do it so they can get paid while also watching their child. I knew women who done this, but in US it's so backwards. It's like, oh, they shouldn't see you, they should be without. You get used to be without you. When first years of a child, the child wants to be with you. The child wants to feel your smell, your aroma, your skin, your touch. That would build child's health and confidence. I swear, so many things are backwards in United States. I don't know what to tell you, Alex. You hit a nail on the head with that. That's what blew my mind when I saw that. Blew my mind. I have a particular person in my on my mind right now that I realize that you are separated from your own child to raise somebody else's children for such. I don't care if the compensation was very big. The compensation is nothing. But even if it was a serious compensation, there is nothing that can replace years with your child. There is nothing. There is absolutely nothing that can replace the connection, the love, first words, first walks, naps together. There is nothing that can replace it. Oh, yeah, you're not paying extra attention to your own child. That's bananas.
It depends on why it's happening. I can give you an example.
I'm gonna move it just a little bit for.
There's a personality saying that the claim that the wage gap between men and women is only due to sex is wrong. And it is wrong. There's no doubt about that. The multivariate analysis have been done. So I can give you an example.
You keep on talking about multivariate analysis.
Let me give you an example.
I'm saying that 9% pay gap exists.
Yeah.
That's a gap between men and women. I'm not saying why it exists, but it exists. Now,
Yeah,
if
you
you're
have
a
to say
woman,
why
that
it
seems
exists.
pretty unfair.
You have to say why it exists.
Unfair.
But do you agree that it's unfair? If you're a woman,
Not necessarily.
and on average you're getting paid 9% less than a man, that's not fair, is it?
It depends on why it's happening. I can give you an example. Okay. There's a personality trait known as agreeableness. Agreeable people are compassionate and polite. And agreeable people get paid less than less agreeable people for the same job. Women are more agreeable than men.
Again, a vast generalization. Some
It's not
women
a
are not more
generalization.
agreeable than
Yes,
men.
that's true, but that's right. And some women get paid more than men.
So you were saying that by and large, women are too agreeable to get the pay rises they deserve.
No, I'm saying that that's one component of a multivariate equation that predicts salary. It accounts for maybe 5% of the variance, something like that.
So surely the
you need
answer-
you need about another 18 factors, one of which is gender. And there is prejudice, there's no doubt about that, but it accounts for a much smaller proportion of the variance in the pay gap than the radical feminists claim.
Okay, so rather than denying the pay gap exists, which is what you did at the beginning of this conversation, shouldn't you say to women, rather than being agreeable and not asking for a pay rise, go and ask for a pay rise? Make yourself disagreeable with your boss.
Oh, definitely, there's that. But I also didn't deny it existed. I denied it existed because of gender.
Okay.
See, because I'm very, very, very careful with my words.
So the pay gap exists, you accept that, but you're
Yes.
saying, I mean, the pay gap between men and women exists, but you're saying it's not because of gender, it's because women are too agreeable to ask for pay rises. So
It's one of the reasons.
Okay, one of the reasons. So why not get them to ask for a pay rise?
I've
Wouldn't
done
that be
that.
a fairer
I've done
way of
that
proceeding?
many, many times in my career.
And they
I've
just don't.
counseled. Oh, they do it all the time. You can. It's so. One of the things that you do as a clinical psychologist is assertiveness training. So you might say, often you treat people for anxiety, you treat them for depression, and maybe the next most common category after that would be assertiveness training. And so I've had many, many women, extraordinarily competent women in my clinical and consulting practice, and we put together strategies for their career development that involve continual pushing, competing for higher wages, and often tripled their wages within a 5-year period. Teaching
you
them how to
celebrate that?
negotiate. Of course.
So
Of
do
course.
you agree that you would be happy if that pay gap was eliminated completely?
It
Because
would
that's
depend.
all the radical feminists are saying.
It would depend on how it was eradicated and how the disappearance of it was measured.
And you're saying if
You
it's at the
can't- you
cost
can't.
of men, that's a problem.
Oh, there's all sorts of things that it could be at the cost of. It could even be at the cost of women's own interests. So,
Because they might not be happy if they get equal pay.
no, because it might interfere with other things that are causing the pay gap that women are choosing to
Like
do.
having children.
Well, or choosing careers that actually happen to be paid less, which women do a lot of.
But why shouldn't women have the right to choose not to have children or the right to choose those demanding careers?
They do. They can. Yeah, that's fine.
But you're saying that makes them unhappy, by and large.
I'm saying that no, I'm not saying that. I actually haven't said that so far.
You're
in the
saying it
program.
makes them miserable.
No, I
at the
said that
beginning.
what was making them miserable was having weak partners. That makes them miserable.
Yes.
Right.
I would say that many women around the age of, I would say between 28 and 32, have a career family crisis that they have to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's partly because of the foreshortened time frame that women have to contend with. Like, women have to get the major pieces of their life put together faster than men, which is also partly why men.
Yes, sir. I want to make a comment. Yes, weak partners, that would make us miserable. Yes. having been married to a weak man, to men who have no purpose, to men that doesn't have it together, men we cannot rely on, men we cannot trust when we are pregnant and vulnerable, men that is counting that we will be contributing equally to something. That is a reason of our unhappiness, lady. Not anything about our career. Oh, let me read some comments. Thank you so much for the kind words. Um, Jordan Peterson is incredible. I agree. Mississippi Dashing, I agree. Paul, yes, please no caps. I can read. Men and women are just biologically different. Bone density, muscle mass, extra, well, other things. We are so different. As women, we are closer to divinity. We are closer to miracles and God. We create life. We prolong you. We literally have the power to make another one of you. And women's creativity, women's ability to love, to nurture, to care, to sacrifice, to create beautiful things out of nothing. You know, I've always admired my mother. She could make a dinner. It looks like we have no food, no produce, no products, but she will mix this and that and do all this manipulation. And before I know it, we would have a beautiful dinner. Or when it came to clothes, came to things, you know, life was very hard. I'm coming from a communist country, even though my parents were highly educated, both of them. In the United States, they would both be millionaires by the level of their education, but we were very humble beginnings. My mother would have, she could create a piece of art out of nothing. She could create clothes. I remember she, like in the movie Gone with the Wind, she created a dress for my sister out of the curtain. She created another dress out of the nightgown. She was the women's ability to nurture, to love, to heal, to create magic. You know how you feel a woman, you see a woman in the morning. Uh, I call it my caterpillar stage when I just woke up. Maybe I didn't have enough of time to rest. Maybe a child was sick or something was happening, but a lady, she wakes up, she's tired, she's maybe swollen in the morning, but once she woke up, she took care of her kid. You know that transformation when you see a woman, I call it caterpillar stage. She got some rest, she got some nap, she did her hair, she did her makeup, she put some beautiful dress on, and she turns to a beautiful butterfly. Her energy turns. She adds love to her food. That's why the food that she makes always tastes so much better than anything you buy at the restaurant. I don't care if it's a chef, 5-star chef, 10-star chef. The food that a woman makes is something that is, it's literally her love transformed. Her love goes into your body through the food that she makes. It's really miraculous. Women are divine creations. I wish that ladies would understand that we don't need to fight with you. Yes, some women have more ambition, they have more drive. Sometimes they also live in a circumstance that force them to go and get professions because of uncertainty. But it really hurts to see for me when I see women abandon their divine nature. There is something about divinity of a woman. That's why men worship women in through the ages, through the millions of years. I'm gonna continue the audio. I love listening to Jordan Peterson, and thank you everybody for the kind words. Just a few. Let me open. Oh my gosh, that woman. I'm sorry. I don't know whose that is, but she is terrible at her job. I'm sorry. She's just absolutely off. Don't like to be so critical, but she's just trying to make it miserable. The wise woman constructs her home with her hands. Well, she doesn't construct, she decorates, but the wise man construct, not a woman. Hi, Kaylee. Oh, Kylie, I'm sorry. Welcome. Thank you, CCGB, for moderating the chat. Mm-hmm. Your parents sounds very educated. Yes, they are very educated. You, yeah, but you're being prideful. Prideful in what way? I'm not prideful. I'm proud. Um, yeah, you know why mental health are problems? Because men have no purpose. Young men are completely swayed in a wrong direction with no purpose, with video games, with being sitting on corn sites and not having a true execution for their purpose, for their talents, for their gifts. They are not pushing hard enough. For a man, laziness is a killer. For a woman, there is no such thing as laziness. A woman needs a lot of rest. She needs to get as much rest as she possibly get. The more rest a woman gets, the healthier she's gonna be, the happier she's gonna be, the more she's gonna give love. We live on a different schedule. So a woman doesn't need to necessarily have a main type of schedule because it will mess up her hormones. I said this before, a woman can literally die on a 5 hours of sleep when a man can make it for a while. Yes, you need to catch up, but men can make it for a while. A woman is a different, it has a different music playing when the woman is walking. The problem is Western society, is a modern society, convincing women that we need to run, 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 run because, oh, you're not going to be successful. What? You don't have a career? You don't have a job? You know, I'm so sick and tired when people ask me, like, what's your career? Like, you don't have anything else to ask? And if I tell you what I do, you might get jealous. Because some of my friends and ladies who are associated with me, they are very, very smart. They are using their talents, their skills without running themselves to where they will burn themselves out completely. And this is what is a problem with our society. You know, I don't lead. Even if I would have a career, I would hate to have a career in a classic way. I would, if I met a man and I used to, I used to have a corporate career back in time. I would never lead with that. I would never lead with it. I would want him to know what kind of woman I am. You want to know what kind of woman she is. You're not looking for a co-worker. What does your career matter? Look, even if she has a career, she's probably forced to do it. It's probably not for the faint of heart. So leave that alone. Let her be a woman. Compliment her on her own manners, on her grace, the way she carries herself, the way, her dress flows, the way she drinks tea, right, Fuchsia? Compliment her on what makes you a woman. Leave your career alone, okay? That's the best thing you can do for society as a man. all my feminine friend report all my feminine lady friends report 50% loss of interest when they talk to a man considering meeting him or he's reaching out to them when he asks them about their career. So 50% of attraction already lost when you ask a woman for her career. Gabrielle, if you have mental problems, go to a mental professional, right? I'm very sorry to hear you have mental health problems. I was talking about men in general, I wasn't talking about you. I'm very sorry if you were abused. That sounds very, very sad. I wish you said you were abused in foster care as a child. I'm very sorry. I hope that you can go to counseling or therapy and heal your trauma. And I don't know, pray, do whatever practice you need to do. But unfortunately, this is just a live stream. I cannot help you. But I hope, I wish that you would have a loving mother and a loving father. But now, when you're grown, it's your responsibility to help yourself. So one day you can create a family and nurture and take care of your own children.
Aren't under so much pressure to grow up. So, because for the typical woman, she has to have her career and family in order pretty much by the time she's 35, because otherwise the options start to run out. And so that puts a tremendous amount of stress on women, especially at the end of their 20s.
I think I take issue with the idea of the typical woman because, you know, all women are different. And that's what I want to just put another quote to you from the book.
Well,
you
they're
say,
different in some ways and the same in others.
okay, you say women become more vulnerable when they have children.
Oh, yes.
And you talked in one of your YouTube interviews about crazy harpy sisters. So, a simple question. Is gender equality a myth in your view? Is that something that's just never going to happen?
It depends on what you mean by equality. No,
Being
if you
treated
mean
fairly,
men and women,
getting the same opportunities.
fairly, we could get to a point where people were treated fairly or more fairly. I mean, people are treated pretty fairly in Western culture already, but we can.
But they're really not, though, are they? I mean, otherwise, why would there only be 7 women running FTSE 100 companies in the UK? Why would there still be a pay gap, which we've discussed at length? Why are women at the BBC saying that they're getting paid illegally less than men to do the same job? Well, that's not fair, is it?
Let's go to the first question. Those are complicated questions. Seven women. Repeat that one. There's
7 women running the top FTSE 100 companies in the UK.
Okay. Well, the first question might be, why would you want to do that?
Why would a man want to do it? I mean, there's a lot of money. It's an interesting job.
There's a certain number of men, although not that many, who are perfectly willing to sacrifice virtually all of their life to the pursuit of a high-end career. So they'll work. These are men that are very intelligent. They're usually very, very conscientious. They're very driven. They're very high energy. They're very healthy. And they're willing to work 70 or 80 hours a week, nonstop, specialized at one thing to get to the top.
So you're saying women are just more sensible. They don't want that because it's not a nice life.
I'm saying that's part of it, definitely. And so I work
you don't think there are barriers in their way that prevent them getting to the top of those companies?
There are some barriers, yeah, like men, for example. I mean, to get to the top of any organization is an incredibly competitive enterprise.
Women don't have barriers. At some point, they have a debate whether continue deeper into their career or still make it in a window gap where they can easily, in a healthy way, still being young, having children. This is not a barrier. Men have more testosterone, more drive. Men do not get pregnant. Men do not carry babies. So men have less obstacles to focus on their career. And they also have more testosterone and more stress resistant and more drive. That's point blank, period. And women, at some point, we have a very strong, the baby instinct becoming strong, more and more strong. When you're in your early 20s, you start feeling it. By the time you're 30, your sexuality as a woman skyrockets to 25 to 30, 35, it start peaking there. Why the woman's sexuality is starting to play in such an incredible role? Because the nature wants to make sure that the woman gets pregnant. That's why you so often see sometimes a woman in their 30s with a younger boy, with a younger man. And sometimes it's just a fleeing thing, but it's because that women's sexuality peaks to the extreme in her late 20s, early 30s, up to 40s sometimes, because the nature, the way we were created, making sure that she so much wants the intimacy, she wants to experience it so much, her body is asking for it, because in general, men have more sexual drive, men have more testosterone, but the nature made it such that it makes sure that it does everything that a woman this way or another, she gets pregnant. You know, our procreation instinct itself. I'm not talking about spiritual aspect right now, not about emotional aspect. It is so very strong. It doesn't care on your mortgage, it doesn't care if you're married, it doesn't care on every other thing. That's why it's so important for us to align our spirit with this, to not be intimate when we choosing a husband, that we not getting intimate, because when we get intimate with a man, our eyes are blurry. If he knows how to make us happy, if he feels a woman, if he knows what to do with a woman, if you know what I mean. A lot of women drop the guard and they see, oh my gosh, I met a man of my dreams, but they completely overlook his ability to provide, protect, because their sexuality is like drinking alcohol and driving, and keep drinking alcohol and driving faster. So that is why it's so important to align our spiritual beliefs, time in our life, our morality compass when we meet a man, and not go for the highly alcoholic drinks, which in this case, chemistry, that makes you drunk and you overlook every single thing in a man. That's why, unfortunately, we have so many women that never been married but having lots of children. It's part of the problem. But God gave us that drive that goes with age, and it goes higher. It's almost like if a woman gets into the business, or she gets into some manly things, all of this, if she could ignore men in her early 20s, it wasn't that important in her mid 20s. When she's reaching about 30, 35, she is thinking about men, she is thinking about intimacy, she having all these desires, just because we were made to procreate, we were made to continue, we were not made to live, eat food, watch video games and die. I'm just saying. Thank you for the comments, everyone. We are going to continue. Thank you, Philip. Thank you, Matthew. I appreciate it. I am Ukrainian, actually. What she said, notes data center. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where she getting these numbers. Yes, Fuchsia, me too. She says she says I really like having. Oh, I see. Really like to having money. It's hard to resist the career stuff. Well, a woman can make money without having a career unless she really wants to do it. Yes, that's why we are so blessed living in this time where we can put our talents and get paid for it. For me personally, I love creating things. um I see it as a game and a fun game. And I love getting paid for my creations, for the things I do with so much love. So when I'm getting paid for it, I feel like I have wings because it brings me happiness. True, women are all beautiful. Thank you, Alan. My body loves rest and movement like a dance. Yes, exactly. Same. I love resting. I love dancing. I love being out in the nature. So important. So important. All right, we are continue. We are continue.
And the men that you're competing with are simply not going to roll over and say, please take the position.
So let me come back to my question.
It's absolute all-out warfare.
Is gender equality a myth?
I don't know what you mean by the question. Men and women aren't the same, and they won't be the same. That doesn't mean they can't be treated fairly.
Is gender equality desirable?
If it means equality of outcome, then almost certainly it's undesirable. That's already been demonstrated in Scandinavia. Because in Scandinavia...
What do you mean by that? Equality of outcome is undesirable?
Well, men and women won't sort themselves into the same categories if you leave them alone to do it of their own accord. I've already seen that in Scandinavia. It's 20 to 1 female nurses to male, something like that. It might not be quite that extreme. And approximately the same male engineers to female engineers. And that's a consequence of the free choice of men and women in the societies that have gone farther than any other societies to make gender equality the purpose of the law. Those are ineradicable differences. You can eradicate them with tremendous social pressure and tyranny. But if you leave men and women to make their own choices, you will not get equal outcomes.
Right, so you're saying that anyone who believes in equality, whether you call them feminists, call them whatever you want to call them, should basically give up because it ain't going to happen.
Only if they're aiming at equality of outcome.
So you're saying give people equality of opportunity, that's fine.
It's not only fine, it's eminently desirable for everyone, for individuals and for society.
But still, women aren't going to.
We have our tendencies. If give equal opportunity, a woman would rather choose a nurturing profession. She would rather be a teacher. She would rather be a nurse. She would rather be in a caring type of profession naturally. A man would rather be in a logical, maybe harsh, maybe physically or mentally difficult, challenging profession with high stress. If we were able to choose, right? We are naturally good at certain things. And often, not always, but often those things are polar. Actually, women are amazing educators. That's why you see so many women in education, because we're really good at it. We are amazing in caring and nurturing, and men are amazing at handling severe stress.
Make it. That's what you're really
It
saying.
depends on your measurement techniques. They're doing just fine in medicine. In fact, there are far more female physicians than there are male physicians. There are lots of disciplines that are absolutely dominated by women. Many disciplines, and they're doing great. So
Let me put something else to you from the book. You say the introduction of the equal pay for equal work argument immediately complicates even salary comparison beyond practicality for one simple reason. Who decides what work is equal? It's not possible. So the simple question is, do you believe in equal pay?
Do you believe?
well, I made the argument there. It's like it depends on
So
who
you don't
defines
believe
it.
in equal pay?
No, I'm not saying that at all.
Because a lot of people listening to you will just say, I mean, are we going back to the dark
That's because
ages
they're actually
here?
not listening.
I'm
They're just
listening very
projecting
carefully,
what
and
they
I'm
think.
hearing you basically saying women need to just accept they're never going to make it on equal terms. Equal outcomes is how you define it.
We don't want
If I
equal
was-
terms. We don't want equal outcomes. I don't want to be in a war. I don't want to have to be in trenches. I don't want to bleed. Well, we bleed every month, but I don't want to bleed in a war. I don't want to have to protect. I will do it if I'm forced to. This woman is so insane. I do not want to go and work construction. I don't want to be in 100 degrees wearing construction suit. I don't want to do that. I don't want to work in the police. I don't want to be a police officer. I don't want to build things and paint things and do all this heavy duty work. I love men. I respect men. But if I would do that work, I would worn out. I would probably die in a couple of years, and I would not do what I was meant to do as a woman. We don't want equality in terms of our occupation. As human beings, we have absolutely equal rights. I would even say that in some circumstances, women have more rights than men legally in certain ways, because it's hard for a man to prove certain things sometimes. But let's just assume that men and women equally, as in the terms of law, we have equality for a very long time now. In United States, women are already fighting. Women are fighting for the rights they already have, and it looks ridiculous. But when it comes to equality in occupation, in expectations, in professions, lady, we don't want to be laying bricks. We don't want to be laying pavement. We don't want to work construction. We don't want to operate heavy machinery. We don't want to be drafted to war. So no, thank you. We want to be compensated by the government if something happens, so we can take care of our children. God forbid, I don't really want that, nobody wants that. But in case something happens to us, we would like for us to have protection. because our main responsibility is not laying pavement, is not operating heavy machinery or work construction. Our responsibility is to preserve our bodies and our youth and our beauty so we can reproduce beautiful children and continue our life on planet Earth. Oh,
Watching that, I would go, well, I might as well just go and play with my Cindy dolls and give up trying at school because I'm not going to get the top job I want. Because there's someone sitting there saying it's not possible, and it's not desirable, it's going to make you miserable.
Desirable. That's what I said. It's a bad social goal. I didn't say that women shouldn't be striving for the top or anything like that, because I don't believe that for a second.
Striving for the top, but you're going to put all those hurdles in their way, as has been in their way for centuries, and that's fine. You're saying that's fine.
No, I really
The
think
patriarchal system is just
that's
fine.
silly. I do. I think that's silly. I really do. I mean, look at your situation. You're hardly unsuccessful.
Yeah, and I have battled quite hard to get where I've got to.
Good
So that's
for you.
okay. Battling is good. This is all about the
inevitable.
fight. But you talk about men fighting. I mean, let me just put another thing to you from the book.
Why
You're saying
wouldn't you have to battle for a high quality position?
Well, I notice in your book you talk about real conversations between men containing, quote, an underlying threat of physicality.
Oh, there's no doubt about that.
What about real conversations between women? Is that something, or are we sort of too amenable and reasonable?
No, it's just that the domain of physical conflict is sort of off limits for you.
Well, you just said that I fought to get where I've got.
Yeah, but
what does that make me?
Well,
a proxy man or something?
I don't imagine that you've. Yeah, to some degree, I suspect you're not very agreeable.
So that's the thing. Successful women. I'm not very agreeable.
Right.
But
I've noticed that actually in this conversation.
At least
and I'm sure it served your career well.
Successful women, though, basically have to wear the trousers. In your view, they have to sort of become men to succeed. Is what you're saying?
Well, if they're
I've had to fight to succeed, therefore I'm an honorary man.
Men, certainly masculine traits are going to be helpful. I mean, one of the things I do in my counseling practice, for example, when I'm consulting with women who are trying to advance their careers, is to teach them how to negotiate and to be able to say no and to not be easily pushed around and to be formidable. And you need to, if you're going to be successful, you need to be smart, conscientious, and tough.
Well, here's a radical idea. Why don't the bosses adopt the male bosses, shall we say, adopt some female traits so that women don't have to fight and get their sharp elbows out for the pay rises? It's just accepted if they're doing the same job, they get the same pay.
Well, I would say partly because it's not so easy to determine what constitutes the same job.
But that's because, arguably, there are still...
Did she just offered men to adopt feminine traits, lady? Are you feeling okay today?
All men dominating our industries, our society, and therefore they've dictated the terms for so long that women have to battle to be like the men.
No, it's not true. It's not true. So, for example...
Where's the evidence?
Well, I can give you an example very quickly. So I worked with women who worked in high-powered law firms in Canada for about 15 years, and they were as competent and put together as anybody you would ever meet. And we were trying to figure out how to further their careers. And there was a huge debate in Canadian society at that point that was basically ran along the same lines as your argument, is that if the law firms didn't use these masculine criteria, then perhaps women would do better. But the market sets the damn game. It's like...
And the market is dominated by men.
No, it's not. It's not. The market is dominated by women. They make 80% of the consumer decisions. That's not the case at all.
If you're talking
80%.
about people who stay at home looking after children, by and large, they are still women. So they're going out doing the shopping. But that is changing.
They make all the
what
consumer
I want to ask
decisions.
You, okay, so
the
what I want to
market
ask
is
you,
driven by women, not men.
Right.
Okay, and if you're a lawyer
and they
in
still
Canada...
pay more for the same sort of goods. That's been proven, that men, you buy a blue bicycle helmet, it's going to cost less than a pink one. Anyway, we'll come on to that.
It's partly because men are less agreeable. Right, so they won't put up with it.
I want to ask you, is it not desirable to have some of those female traits you're talking about? I'd say that's a generalization, but you've used the words female traits. Is it not desirable to have some of them at the top of business? I mean, maybe there wouldn't have been a banking crisis.
They don't predict success in the workplace. The things that predict success in the workplace are intelligence and conscientiousness. Agreeableness negatively predicts success in the workplace. And so does high negative emotion.
You're saying that women aren't intelligent enough to run these top companies?
No, I didn't say that at all.
You said that female traits don't predict success.
But I didn't say that intelligence wasn't. I didn't say that intelligence and conscientiousness.
Well, you were saying intelligence and conscientiousness by implication are not female traits.
No.
I mean, that's very dangerous territory.
I'm not saying that at all.
Are women less intelligent than men, by and large?
No, they're not. No, the data on that's pretty clear.
You
the
are,
average
but
IQ for a woman
in
and the average
generally
IQ
not.
for a man is
Oh
like,
my goodness, she's insufferable. Poor Jordan Peterson. He's probably sitting there like, she's insufferable. I'm sorry, I must admit. Oi, yes, CCGB. Yes, she's not advancing because of your character, I know. Also, she's like some famous channel or YouTube channel or news outlet. I don't know what she is, but she's obviously successful enough to talk to Jordan Peterson. So it's like, if you want to have your career to advance as a woman, then don't complain for the pain, sacrifice, and things you are losing in the process. Men are more resilient, so it's not as painful for them, it is painful for us. Yes, nobody's pushing me around. If William, you got it right. CCGB, don't retract your messages. They're pretty funny. Yeah, she's so angry. Who would want to hire her to do anything? Yes, I know. Yeah, but this war. Okay, we're not gonna read depressive comments. I'm sorry if you have depression. Answer. Go to therapy, and I wish you good luck. Your responsibility is to be the cutest every day. Exactly. One of my top responsibilities, Yvonne. Not all women think like you. Unfortunately, not. I agree. What do you mean by Jordan Peterson? What do I mean? That he's currently in a critical condition, and we need to send him some love and prayers and wish him a quick and fast recovery. This lady, Dr. Peterson, and her gotcha questions. I remember listening to this interview a while ago. Really good. Thank you, Adam. Oh, she's insufferable. I'm sorry, but really, she is. I wish people would read the family proclamation. It sure would get rid of ton of arguments. Yes. I'm glad you guys are having a good time. Um, qualify for the job, qualify of the job. Yeah, no woman wants to be drafted to the war, okay? That's how you end any sort of a feminist conversation. Do you want to be drafted to the war? You want to be taken away? You want to be in trenches bleeding, losing your arms and legs? Nope. Nope. Yeah, so do we have stamina to finish it? I think it's not so long. Maybe I can put it on 1.5. Let's see.
identical. There is some debate about the flatness of the distribution, which is something that James Damore pointed out, for example, in his memo, but there's no difference at all in general cognitive ability. There's no difference to speak of in conscientiousness. Women are a bit more orderly than men, and men are a little bit more industrious than women. But the difference isn't big. But that averages into
Plenty of men
conscientiousness.
who aren't necessarily as
Well, of
industrious.
course,
But
these are- okay.
we'll
But no,
female
but you
traits,
asked me
though,
the
why
question.
are they not
Feminine traits,
Why
let's
are they
say.
not desirable at the top of feminine traits? Why are they not desirable at the top of
It's hard to say. I'm just laying out the empirical evidence. Like we know the traits that predict success.
But we also know, because companies by and large have not been dominated by women over the centuries, we have nothing to compare it to. It's an experiment.
True, and it could be the case that if companies modified their behavior and became more feminine, that they would be successful. But
You
there's
seem
no
doubtful about
evidence
that.
for it. I'm not neither doubtful nor non-doubtful. There's no evidence.
So why
for
not
it.
give it a go, as the radical
Because the evidence
feminists would
suggests,
say?
well, it's fine. If someone wants to start a company and make it more feminine and compassionate, let's say, and caring in its overall orientation towards its workers
the
and towards the
company called
marketplace,
family.
then that's a perfectly reasonable experiment to run. My point is that there is no evidence that those traits.
Compassionate, loving, caring company is either family or some type of feminine business that you start at home with your computer. You want to make baby clothes, you want to give I don't know, massages, you want to teach a yoga class, you want to be compassionate, you want to be a therapist, you want to be a healer, you want to be into certain yoga classes and like women's arts. This is where you use love and compassion. You don't build companies. Structure is a purely masculine system. That's why women suffer in the very harsh reality. Run, 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 and being structured. Being super structured is not good for our feminine essence. When we talk about loving, caring, soulful, open your practice. There are so many women who are having the healing retreats. It's massages, love, yoga, stretching, healing other women. Yes, we are amazing at it, and men cannot do it. Raising children, child development, these are kind of fields where you can be compassionate, loving, nurturing. But it's not gonna be on 101st floor in a high scraper. You cannot run a company being compassionate because people will step all over you and you will be bankrupt and you will fail all your workers that you hired.
Predict success in the workplace. And there's
Because it's
this
never
evidence
been tried.
Well, that's not really the case. Women have been in the workplace for what, at least ever since I've been around. The representation of women in the workplace has been about 50%. So we've run the experiment for a fairly reasonable period of time, but not, certainly not for centuries.
Let me move on to another debate that's been very controversial for you. And this is, you got in trouble for refusing to call trans men and women by their preferred personal pronouns.
No,
I want to
that's
ask-
not actually true. I got in trouble because I said I would not follow the compelled speech dictates of the federal and provincial government. I actually never got in trouble for not calling anyone anything.
Right.
That didn't happen.
You wouldn't follow the change of law, which was designed
Not
to
once it was
outlaw
law.
discrimination.
No.
Why
Yeah, well,
should
that's
your...
what they said it was designed to do.
Okay, you cited freedom of speech in that. Why should your right to freedom of speech trump a trans person's right not to be offended?
Because in order to be able to think, you have to risk being offensive. I mean, look at the conversation we're having right now.
Yes.
Like you're certainly willing to risk offending me in the pursuit of truth. Why should you have the right to do that? It's been rather uncomfortable.
Well, I'm very glad I put you on the spot. I'm very glad that I have exercised my freedom of speech.
You get my point.
Good
It's
job,
like
JP.
You're doing what you should do, which is digging a bit to see
Yeah.
what the hell's going on.
So it's
See what I mean?
okay for you to ask as a woman provocative questions, offending, crossing the boundaries to a man, but a man cannot do that. Okay. Interesting. Talking about equality.
What you should do. But
And
you're
you
exercising
also-
your freedom of speech to certainly risk offending me. And that's fine. I think more power to you as far as I'm concerned.
So you haven't sat there and I'm just trying to work that out. I mean,
Ha, gotcha.
you have got me. I'm trying to work
about
that through in
time.
my head. Yeah. It took a while.
It did, yeah.
Took a while. You have voluntarily come into the studio and agreed to be questioned.
Mm-hmm.
A trans person in your class has come to your class and said they want to be called.
And that's never
she.
happened. And I would call them she.
So you would. So you've kind of changed your tune on that.
No, I said that right from the beginning. What I said at the beginning was that I was not going to cede the linguistic territory to radical leftists, regardless of whether or not it was put in law. That's what I said. And then the people who came after me said, oh, you must be transphobic and you mistreat a student in your class. It's like, I never mistreated a student in my class. I'm not transphobic. And that isn't what I said.
Well, except you've also called trans campaigners authoritarian.
Oh,
haven't you? I mean,
Господи
isn't that
Боже
Well,
мой.
only in the broader context of my claims that radical leftist ideologues are authoritarian,
Yes,
which
but
they are.
You're saying someone who's trying to work out their gender identity, who may well have struggled with that, had quite a
No
tough
doubt
time over the
struggled
years.
with it, yeah.
You're comparing.
You don't work out your gender identity. You stick with what you got. You play with the cards you were dealt with.
Comparing them with, Chairman Mao, who
No, just the
saw the
activists.
deaths of millions of people. Well,
Just the
even if the activists, they're trans people too. They have a right to say these things.
Yeah, but they don't have
Isn't
a right
it
to
grossly
speak for their whole
insensitive
community.
to compare them to Chairman Mao? I could Pinochet, Augusto Pinochet. I mean, this is grossly insensitive.
No, I didn't compare them to Pinochet.
Well,
I did compare them to
he was an authoritarian.
He's a
wasn't he?
right-winger, though. I was comparing them to the left-wing totalitarians. And
Okay,
I do believe they
Mao-
are left-wing
Mao-
totalitarians.
Under Mao, millions of people died.
Right.
I mean, there's no comparison between
That's-
Mao and a trans activist, is there?
Why not?
Because trans activists aren't killing millions of people?
The philosophy that's guiding their utterances is the same philosophy.
The consequences are...
Not yet.
You're saying that trans activists
No.
could lead to the deaths of millions of people?
No, I'm saying that the philosophy that drives their utterances is the same philosophy that already has driven us to the deaths of millions of people.
Okay, tell us how that philosophy is in any way comparable.
Sure, that's no problem. The first thing is that the philosophy presumes that group identity is paramount. That's the fundamental philosophy that drove the Soviet Union and Maoist China. And it's the fundamental philosophy of the left-wing activists. It's identity politics. It doesn't matter who you are as an individual. It matters who you are in terms of your group identity.
You're just
That's
saying
murderous.
things, though, to provoke, aren't you? I mean,
Not
you
a
are
bit.
a provocateur.
I never said
You're like
anything.
the alt-right that you hate to be compared to. You want to stir things up.
I'm only a provocateur insofar as when I say what I believe to be true, it's provocative. I don't provoke. Maybe for
You
humor.
don't set out to
now
provoke.
and then. I'm not interested in provoking.
But what
Not in
about the thing
least.
about, fighting and the lobster? Tell us about
Lady, it's called intelligence. Some people have it.
the lobster.
Well, that's quite a segue. Well, the first chapter I have in my book is called Stand Up Straight with Your Shoulders Back. And it's an injunction to be combative, not least to further your career, let's say, but also to adopt a stance of ready engagement with the world and to reflect that in your posture. And the reason that I write about lobsters is because there's this idea that hierarchical structures are a sociological construct of the Western patriarchy. And that is so untrue that it's almost unbelievable. And I use the lobster as an example because the lobster, we divulged from lobsters in evolutionary history about 350 million years ago, common ancestor. And lobsters exist in hierarchies and they have a nervous system attuned to the hierarchy. And that nervous system runs on serotonin, just like our nervous systems do. And the nervous system of the lobster and of the human being is so similar that antidepressants work on lobsters. And it's part of my attempt to demonstrate that the idea of hierarchy has absolutely nothing to do with sociocultural construction, which it doesn't.
Let me just get this straight. You're saying that we should organise our societies along the lines of the lobsters?
I'm saying that it's inevitable that there will be continuity in the way that animals and human beings organize their structures. It's absolutely inevitable. And there is 1/3 of a billion years of evolutionary history behind that. Right? That's so long that 1/3 of a billion years ago, there weren't even trees. It's a long time. You have a mechanism in your brain that runs on serotonin that's similar to the lobster mechanism that tracks your status. And the higher your status, the better your emotions are regulated. So as your serotonin levels increase, you feel more positive emotion and less negative emotion.
So you're saying, like the lobsters, we're hardwired as men and women to do certain things, to sort of run along tram lines, and there's nothing we can do about it?
No, I'm not saying there's nothing we can do about it, because it's like in a chess game, right? There's lots of things that you can do, although you can't break the rules of the chess game and continue to play chess. And your biological nature is somewhat like that, is it sets the rules of the game, but within those rules you have a lot of leeway. But the idea that, one thing we can't do is say that hierarchical organization is a consequence of the capitalist patriarchy. It's like, that's patently absurd. It's wrong. It's not a matter of opinion. It's seriously wrong.
Aren't you just whipping people up into a state of anger and
Not at all.
divisions between men and women? You're stirring people up. You have any critics of you online get absolutely lambasted by your followers. You've
And
got to
by
call
me,
them off, haven't
generally.
you? Sorry, your critics get lambasted by you. I mean,
If
isn't
they're
that
academics.
irresponsible?
Not at all. If an academic is going to come
Okay.
after me and tell me that I'm not qualified and that I don't know what I'm talking about,
So
I
you're
can
not going to say to
seriously
your
not
followers
say.
now, quit the abuse, quit the anger.
Well, we'd need some substantial examples of the abuse and the anger before I could detail that question.
There's a lot of it out there.
Let's take a more general perspective on that. So I've had 25,000 letters since June, something like that, from people who told me that I've brought them back from the brink of destruction. And so I'm perfectly willing to put that up against the rather vague accusations that my followers are making the lives of people that I've targeted miserable.
Jordan Peterson, thank you.
My pleasure. Nice talking with you.
Wow, this man has some level of patience. He was so classy not to, get out of line. And yeah, he's such a charming man. He has such a charming smile in the end. Man, he has a level of patience that for most of us is yet to master. That lady was just like, she brought the worst of everyone. I agree with the comments I'm seeing, guys. Excellent, excellent, excellent job. Excellent notes. He's reached a lot of people, to say the least. As I said previously, there is 35,000 comments under his daughter's video sharing that he's not well. 35,000 comments, and it's just a fraction. Just a fraction. He touched so many lives, so many young men turns their life around because of him and his teachings and his passion. You can tell what I love about him, that he's 100% himself. There is no games, he's just raw truth, and he's passionate to share it. He's passionate to pay it forward for the next generations. He knows, he's a mature man, he's an older man. Hopefully he recovers and lives longer, but he's not doing it for himself. He's doing it for our future, which is much appreciated. He has things that are bigger than him, that he believes in. That's why he's so wildly successful and productive. Yeah, this woman, this woman is something else. Something else. My dear friends, I hope you enjoyed the stream. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for laughing with me. I really appreciate it. I did not know that anything was going on with Jordan Peterson. I'm devastated to know that he has been so sick. I truly pray that he recovers. I feel awful about that mold exposure, because mold exposure is something that could be prevented. It really hurts. It really, really hurts that it's took such a toll on his health. And I truly hope he recovers. The world needs him, and his family needs him. His daughter needs him. I truly, please pray tonight before you go to bed. Pray for him. Just send him a positive affirmation. Send him a prayer. Let him recover. He's loved by so many, and he's so needed in his own family, in the community, the worldwide community. We're not ready. We're not ready to lose him. We're not ready for that. I promise. He's a fighter, and he will fight. I know 100% he will fight to the last. And I hope that his health, he will recover. I truly, deeply hope. I know all of you who are watching are hoping that he will recover. He will rest and recover. With that being said, my beautiful friends, thank you so very much for your comments today, for staying with me. I have to take a moment to get some rest. I wish you the same. Have a beautiful night, recharging dreams. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you enjoy my conversations, if you would like to see me again, consider subscribing to the channel. I would love to see you again on my live streams. Thank you everyone for being here. Have a wonderful and recharging night. Good night, everyone. See you